Lightning like Steve McQueen, I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit, cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly, better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder, and I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. Rest assured, well, actually, first and foremost, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. There is no theory on any of my content, because at the end of the day, you guys, we are here to provide value and insight that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day is not only is this the greatest nation on earth, but I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. I got a very special guest for you guys who I'm going to pull up here in a second. But before I do any of that, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about with what they have and what they offer is you get paid to move these trailers. So if you're an owner-op or a small fleet, you should never have to shut your operation down because you have a trailer in the shop. So with what they're working on right now, you guys, is they have Paragould, Arkansas, going to Orting, Washington, just outside of Tacoma. You get $1,550 to move that trailer. That is on top of the revenue that you can get by loading that out. They also have a van up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, going to Vaughan, Ontario. You get $500 Canadian for that. They have a flatbed in Macomb, Mississippi, needing to go to Brighton, Colorado. You get $1,600 to do that. They have a heated van in Macedonia, Ohio, going to Mississauga, Ontario. And they also have a reefer in McDonough, Georgia, needing to go up to Mississauga. With those ones, you guys go to vhubapp.com and put your offer in directly on that. And then finally, they have a Milton, Ontario to Moncton, New Brunswick for $400 Canadian. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends Stacey Steen and Xavier Campos, they'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Derek McLeod, good morning, sir. Angel Garvin, good morning. Thanks for joining. Andre Stewart says, good morning, Freight Coach fam. Erica Hamilton in the house. Good morning, Orange Gang. Let's fucking go. Sean Caldwell, good fucking morning. He says time to squash the Monday blues. And then Aaron, good fucking morning. Looking forward to killing it this week from Phoenix. Yeah, you guys, it's the Freight Valley is what we got going on out here in Arizona now, even though it doesn't feel like Arizona today. It's freezing out here. Anyways, I'm going to bring my guest up right now. The man, the legend, Cody Kohler, joining in from
Goodyear, Arizona, actually.
Goodyear, Arizona. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, the Valley. We're all part of the Valley out here. He's West Valley, technically, I guess is what they consider it.
Yeah, we're warehouse central out here, buddy.
Dude, you guys are. I don't think people actually understand how much industry is moving to the Phoenix metro area. Because for Cody and I are in the same city, quote unquote, but we literally live 50 miles from each other. That's how big the Phoenix metro is. And even out here in the East Valley in Gilbert, dude, everywhere by my house is all industrial warehousing being built everywhere.
It's crazy. It's I moved down here 5 years ago and none of them were down here. It's been so much expansion.
Yeah, dude, it's the same thing. I bet this is my third year in Arizona and I've just seen it's just growing and growing and growing. And I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for the opportunities that are going to come with it. Now, do you think so? What's your specialty in the industry, Cody? Introduce yourself to the people who, outside of Erica Hamilton, who says, I know him. And every time I see that, I always think of the movie Elf. I know him. I know him.
Yeah. So I'm with ANZ Trucking. So my name's Cody Kohler. Obviously, it's Kohler. Most people mess it up, but
I mess it up.
All good. I still got friends of 20 years that still mess it up, buddy. So, anyways, I'm with ANZ Trucking. We specialize in food and bev, mostly produce, though. We're probably 90-95% produce. But just food and bev. We don't move flatbeds. We don't do any of the crazy stuff that you do, Chris. But we've been in business since 2003, so we have a lot of long-term relationships, and we've got big hubs here in Phoenix and in Raleigh, North Carolina, as well as we also do cross-docking and warehousing, mostly for produce, for our customers. But we have a big warehouse in Yuma that we own, in Salinas, in the Yakima Valley up in Washington for all our apples, as well as New Windsor, New York. So we kind of service, whatever our customers need.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, dude, what are you seeing out there? Because like I saw a post this morning on, it might not even have been this morning. And this is why, like, legitimately, man, I am like taking such a step back. Like, yes, I have my stuff out there on social media, but I'm almost adopting like a posting ghost mentality now because like I just see so much of like all the negative bullshit out there. You know, like I saw a post this morning. Is everybody else having a shitty January like I am? Or, you know, and all this other stuff. And it was just littered with comments about, oh, I'm getting slaughtered and this is what's happening and that's what's happening and everything else. But it's like, this was like literally when I see stuff like that, I don't advocate for anybody to fail, but this was like 90% of the reason why I got back in for this year, because I know, like, dude, you've seen this market before.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen this market before. I know exactly how this market's going to perform. And I know that unfortunately there's a section of people who are just going to quit.
Yep.
You know, because like if they're already bitching about how tough it is and we're 14 business days in, they haven't seen anything yet.
Nope. I mean, typically the two slowest months in freight is what, February and October?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, October is pretty decent for drive-ins, I think, but at least for reefers for us, October and February are dead. So I mean, next month we're definitely expecting volume to be down, but I don't buy into that bullshit. I mean, we're doing well. I mean, yeah, volume's down, but you expect volume to be down right after a return season, right? I mean, that's typical in the freight market. So if you're not prepared for this, then you probably entered the industry the last 9 months, and no offense, you're probably not going to make it through the year.
Yeah,
that's just reality.
You can if you watch a certain morning show with the orange polo shirt guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally laying out there exactly how. Dude, I'm even calling out what industry headlines are going to read at certain points of the year at this time, because I've seen it all before. And you know, again, you guys, like January and February have always been like the two worst months because there's that holiday hangover that naturally happens. And it's like, I've seen it last through the entirety. I think this entire month is just going to be bad overall because the majority of the country is just getting pounded with weather right now, like nonstop. And then February, you're right, is always historically the slowest month every single year. So again, if you stick it out to mid to late March, you're going to see a massive uptick in volume. And if all the people I see out there posting about how challenging it is give up, which they shouldn't, like don't give up, keep pushing forward, there is going to be a massive influx in freight. Right. And you know, I know A&Z Trucking is going to be there to soak up a lot of the additional capacity. I know that's exactly what we're doing out here. Like, if anything, to me, I'm increasing my outreach to customers. I'm like, because everybody's good right now. Fucking, of course they're good right now. I get it. Yep. But fact of the matter is they're not going to be good forever. You know,
that's what Q1's for, right? Q1 is for you to really try and reach out and build those relationships, because now's the time that you're probably not going to get put on an RFP. If you're not already in with the customer, you're not going to get an RFP. You're not going to get spot. You're definitely not going to get spot right now. Spot's like dead. But now's the time to build those relationships. Some of those relationships take a year or two to build, you know, as well as I do. So now's the time, because if you're slow, they're probably slow too. So now you may get a half an hour of their time that you might not get in July, right? So now's the time to build those relationships. Now's the time to reach out and prepare, knowing that the majority of your volume could come in Q2 and Q3. That's just how freight works.
Yeah. I mean, especially in my world too, man, like in the open deck and heavy haul, like 70% of the country's frozen right now. So there's not a ton of equipment being moved around, but there is still like, I'm going gangbuster out of the South right now. Like I got a lot of freight moving right now. Like we just completed a big project down in Florida, and we got another one that's about to take off here. But again, like that was months of prospecting to get to these points. And, you know, again, man, like, and this was like another part of why I wanted to really dive back into this, man, is because like I wanted to bring more and more validity to my content. I didn't want to talk about it from a consultant standpoint. I wanted to be like, motherfuckers, like I got everything on the line, just like you. Like I'm trying to build this shit up. I'm going through the ups and the downs. And dude, I'm getting those exact same objections that everybody else is everybody's good right now. And that's fine. But like the beauty is when they do respond, they're literally like, some of them are going to say, never call me ever again, or never email me ever again, or what, you know, that's fine. But if it's in there, they're going to let you know how they want to be prospected. Like, hey, we're not busy right now. We generally see an uptick in this month. And a crucial error by so many sales reps is they never fucking stop selling. You can sell without saying you have capacity, because you better have capacity if you're a fucking broker.
That's all we do, right?
Yeah. And, again, man, I just want to see people actually understand like what this is. So no matter what some headlines you're going to read are, is like freight's still going to move, you guys, but this will bleed with the seasonality of a normal freight market this year. The produce season will tick up late March. Isn't that mid to late March for you every year?
So usually it's like late March, early April, but with all the weather that Salinas has been having, it looks like it might be later this year.
Okay. So that's kind of like the kickoff of the freight year. And flatbed open deck freight really starts humming around mid-April, I would say late April, depending on how much of the country is still, any late season snowstorms and everything that come along in it. But again, like you're going to see an uptick to, is it Memorial Day is first, then there'll be a little bit of a dip, then it'll pick back up to the 4th, a little bit of a dip, pick back up to Labor Day, a little bit of a dip, pick back up through the holidays. Like that's what it is. But where you'll see the opportunity this year is everyone who bid rock bottom prices for their RFPs, they did it because that was their guaranteed Q1 volume. Correct. And when their larger shippers start picking up their volume, all of their attention focuses away from that. So there will be a large sector of whatever industry, whether it's drive-in, reefer, flatbed, whatever, that is going to be left with a ton of additional freight. So that is why right now you have to increase your output to your prospects, because a lot of the larger brokers out there, I'm not blaming anybody for anything, but I know how I operated in some of those capacities. That's exactly what we did, is we serviced everything until our best paying customers started moving all the volume. And then where does a natural human gravitate towards? Are they going to gravitate towards servicing the low volume, low margin customer? Or are they going to go to the customer that ships a bunch and you can make more money with?
Yeah, absolutely. Money talks, right?
Yeah. Dude,
I've got those to pay.
Yeah, dude, and that's exactly it. So again, I just want people to be prepared for how the reality is. And then you will start to see headlines some point this year that say tender rejections are starting to rise, or they're reaching unprecedented highs. It depends. I think that it's completely dependent, Cody, on how many customers did an annual RFP. And if they did an annual RFP
versus quarterly, I'm seeing a lot more quarterly right now.
Yeah. So I think that if it is quarterly or biannually, it might not, the tender rejections might not reach that much because like they'll start to rebid. But for the shippers that did an annual RFP, you're going to start to see tender rejections uptick at a certain point this year. And then they'll probably just implement a rebid at that time. And then you'll go in there and then it'll start to even itself out. So again, there's not a lot of weight to a lot of those headlines because the freight's still moving. You need to be ahead of the curve in a lot of those situations. And you can see it because again, I wanted to think that every time I was making all this money on loads that it was because I was just that good of a carrier rep. That's just not the case. Like if your margins start to get to, I'm not going to tell you to not make money, but that obscene level, you should probably talk about adjusting your prices to your customer because someone's going to go in there and adjust their prices before you, and you're going to lose all your volume.
Yep. 100%. You got to be a good partner. I mean, that's what all this is about, right? We're all partners.
Yeah.
And also like, for all the naysayers out there, yes, volume's down a little bit right now, but there's always a bull market somewhere, right? I love Jim Cramer, and that's what he says every single day. There's always a bull market somewhere. So pay attention regionally. There are hot spots in America right now. You definitely can make that money.
Fuck yeah, you can. One of my favorite quotes ever, and I forget who said it. It was it was some guy on Wall Street back in 2008 when everything was falling apart. And he went in there and said, so I hear there's a lot of talk about a recession or we're already in a recession. Well, guess what? We're not partaking in it. Get on the fucking phones. And
I love it.
I personally love that quote more than anything. Let me see here. Sonny Sharma's in the house. He says, good morning, Orange Shirt Gang. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Cam, what's up, brother? He says, motivation money. Let's go. Make today great. Drew Driscoll back in the house. He took a week off and he's ready to get after it. Let's fucking go. David K. Morning, let's fucking go from the New York, New Jersey ports. And Louis Montano says, good morning, let's get some. Brenda Melville, good morning, folks. Let's fucking go. You want to break down an article or do you want to keep talking about current markets, man? What do you want to do?
That's up to you, buddy. Let's hit an article.
Let's hit an article. Yes,
Yeah.
we will hit a article. And you know what? It's also going to be ironically tied into the market because it's from ttnews.com, and it's fleets grapple with freight rate pressures. Trucking companies are navigating a challenging economic environment where stubbornly high costs for goods are affecting what shippers are willing to pay for transport, experts warn. Unless you go to vhubapp.com, you can get paid to move their trailers. Just saying. It's really tough out there right now, said Paul Bingham. He's an economics and country risk director at S&P Global Market Intelligence. The pressures are there. With the demand going away and the inflation being stronger than I think any of them were hoping, there is some relief on the diesel fuel side, but that really hasn't made up entirely for the depressed market. Cowen and Company in fourth quarter carrier survey found rates are expected to rise 2.4% in the first half of the year, but that's down from the 4% growth forecasted in Q3 survey out there. You had expectations, and then you have what they've been signing the contracts at, said Cowen analyst Jason Seidel. They both fell the same amount, and you'll notice that both amounts are definitely not enough to cover inflation, at least not the type that we're seeing currently. The good news is if you're a carrier, the cost to hire drivers is getting less expensive, but it's still, wow, I don't know if I would have said that publicly if I was the owner of a fleet and said that, hey, we're
that's bullshit.
Reducing our driver pay.
Yeah.
Fuck.
One, I don't think that's real, and two, you definitely don't want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's a bold fucking statement right there.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowen survey noted that pay pressures are easing as carriers now anticipate an increase of 4.3% in the year ahead compared to 5.9% forecasted. While carriers expect business growth around 2.2% next year, that's below the historical average of 3.4%. There's no shipper I've met that loves price increases, especially now when they're having their own challenges about their own inflationary fight within their own company. You're going to have them push back as much as possible. Seidel believes that any rate increases carriers secure this year should be seen as a victory given market conditions and a looming threat of a recession. Especially, he noted, as some carriers worrying that the rates could fall below year-ago levels. I mean, again, I'm not an economist. I don't think that I believe we're in a recession. Yeah. Again, I went to public school, Cody. I don't know about you, but I believe we're in a recession right now based off of everything I've seen.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I don't think we found the bottom either. Just realistically, I don't think we have.
I don't either. For pricing at this point, I think that what you're going to see, because they do talk about there's too much capacitive. Nathan, right there with you. Less expensive driver and pay, but eggs are $8 public education. Yeah, I know. That's very true, Nathan. We'll get to that here in a second. There's too much capacity right now for the demand that's out there. You're seeing it mostly on the spot market, but the contract market with a lag is catching up. I expect it's going to not resolve itself for quite a while. In fact, it might get worse later this year. We're forecasting a recession for the U.S., and then the outlook is not good for carriers, and it's really time to hunker down in terms of managing costs, managing their customers, and being able to plan for rates. Still, Bingham noted that there is a limit to how much shippers can push back on rates. Carriers still need to turn some profit to ensure they can continue serving those shippers. And Cody, I think that to your earlier point, there are pockets out there that are moving well above any of these published national rates. And I also think that if you're a fleet out there, and I'm not talking the 5 to 10 truck operations here, I'm talking like an actual fleet, you might need to change your sales approach of what you've been currently doing. Because at least, I don't know about you, Cody, but every single phone call I've ever made as a broker, where asset only is generally the first fucking objection.
Almost every time.
How do you squander all of that opportunity that's out there? And again, I think you need to reassess your business strategy. I think those points are key: is managing your costs, managing and then managing the customers. Okay, so your customers aren't replaceable. Like, that should be priority number one for any operation this year. Your initial thought should never be, I'm going to find another customer. Because again, I think a lot of customers out there will pay above the quote unquote published rate to the providers that are actually adding value to their operation.
100%.
Also, managing your costs of I think for the small fleets out there, it's going to be preventative maintenance, investing in preventative maintenance more than anything this year to save you as much potential downtime as possible. really getting to know how to operate your clock to where you can schedule it out, your 34-hour reset. You can have somebody come in, do your preventative maintenance, do all of that stuff while you're stopped. And again, saving those costs as much as possible. I am vehemently against a mandated speed limit out there. But again, look at the studies that show you where you can conserve the most fuel burn at, because fuel and maintenance are probably your two highest costs right now if you're an owner operator. And again, what can you do to manage those?
Oh yeah. I mean, fuel is always the wild card, right? I mean, fuel could take I personally think that we're going to see an uptick in gas prices. We got to remember that China's not 100% open yet. So as soon as that happens, whenever it does happen this year, the global demand is going to spike, right? So I can almost guarantee, I'm not going to say I can guarantee because I'm not an economist either, but oil is going to go up at some point in time this year. The demand will increase for sure, whether we're in a recession or not. Regardless of that, though, you're right. I mean, preventative maintenance is going to save you a ton of money if you're doing it correctly. Everybody knows that you're burning more fuel when you're doing 85 versus 75 versus 65 versus 55, right? Especially in a semi. So just do your homework. Like, controlling your costs in an environment like this is key, because there will be an uptick that, anybody who's been in freight long enough knows that these cycles happen. And you can usually predict within reason the amount of time that it's going to happen, whether it's 18 months, 24 months, whatever it is. So you just got to stick with it, control your costs, be smart about what you're going to be doing for the next 12 months, 18 months. And it's going to come back. The freight always comes back. Always. So
no, exactly. And then, there's another guy, KSM Transport Advisors President David Roush estimates the cost inflation for carriers is up about 30%. And he also goes on to note some carriers are losing what we call franchise freight, which is their best freight, and they're retaining toxic freight, which is their worst freight. And some are a different mix of that franchise and toxic. Okay, I thought there was going to be a lot more substance behind that one, but apparently there's good freight and there's bad freight. But again, I think that, but in there, he adds that his carrier clients report that shippers are pushing back hard to lower rates, including additional requests for proposal rounds. He noted that one carrier described it as shippers being out for blood. I do not subscribe to that narrative at all. Every single shipper that I have talked to is in a different position this year in the fact that there's not such a rush to get stuff out there. They're in the benefit of having high inventory levels into a point. Like, obviously you can have too much inventory, but there's the demand, the rush orders are gone. And that's what a lot bleeds out to the spot market. That's why you see those spikes out there. So they're able to consistently hold their pricing for long term. And again, what are you doing to ensure that that customer is going to increase their volume with you? I've never once talked to a shipper who's like, I'm literally here to slit your throat today so you go out of business. Never happened.
No, never. But they are realists though too, right? I mean, they understand where the market's at right now. So are contract rates going to come down this year? Yes, they're going to absolutely come down. Are they going to come down enough to start putting people out of business? Not the smart people. If you're a smart carrier, you're a smart broker, you control your costs, you understand where the market is heading. This is an opportunity for you guys to grow, because there are going to be some failures. To your point earlier, Chris, there's going to be some people who just give up, and whatever freight they're moving right now, you can scoop it up. Just make sure you have a good business model going on.
That's exactly it. That article, ttnews.com, fleets grapple with freight rate pressures. I don't know if we're going to have time to, we'll get one more here. We'll get one more. I want to talk about this one. It's from Dean Croak. You're going to be meeting up with him. Dude, yeah. I love Dean. Dean is one of my absolute favorite people to follow out there. And so his article is Market Update. Big brother wants to watch trucks even more. They're talking about what the CVSA, the FMCSA, is considering such amendments to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the roadside inspection program by more fully enabling enforcement agencies to focus their efforts at high-risk carriers and drivers. We've kind of talked about this earlier, but again, it's targeted enforcement versus random inspections. This idea is familiar, but it was successfully implemented in Australia 25 years ago with a few differences. The overarching goal of the proposed regulation is to apply limited resources better and identify bad actors and unsafe carriers in a more targeted and less random way. The CVSA put forward a case whereby installing a universal electronic vehicle identifier requirement, for a commercial motor vehicle would dramatically improve the efficiency of the state's roadside enforcement programs designed to improve safety by removing unsafe drivers, vehicles, and carriers from our roadways. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, from everything I've read and from what I understand, we didn't see a huge increase in safety when they put the ELD mandate in place, right? So it's not, I don't know. I don't like overreach by the government at all. I'm all for safety. Obviously, safety is number one when you're driving a semi. But I don't see how that's going to increase, safe behavior. I just don't see that. But maybe I'm not intelligent.
Well, because again, it's like I think of it like this. Like if you really want to put on your tinfoil hat, it's not the initial act. It's the follow-up act of, oh, well, hey, we found that this was easier. Now we're going to put an automatic kill switch where they're not going to be able to run their trucks or anything like that. They're never going to be able to drive anymore and stuff like I just see it progressing from there because again, it's like, what's the point of the DOT? Like, what's the point of the FMCSA? It starts with the FMCSA, like plain and simple. 100%. Cody and I have very in-depth conversations about a lot of the, the double brokering, for example. It seems like they're trying to like smoke screen and put shit out there to remove themselves from actually doing their job. I think like if you actually took somebody out of service for breaking the law and kept them out of service, that would not be a thing. Correct. There's always a sector that are going to break the law no matter what. Because I guarantee there's trucks on the road right now where that driver does not have a valid CDL. 100%. That is going to happen no matter what, right?
Yep.
So again, what steps are they going to do to prohibit that from even becoming a thing? You know?
Preventative maintenance, right? It's just I don't know. It's there's too many companies that you read about that they go under because of either safety violations, wrecks, or whatever, and then 3 months later they have a different authority, right? So like, how can we prevent some of that stuff? Because bad actors are bad actors. I mean, they're always going to be bad actors. If they think they can get away with something, they will find a way to get away with it.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I mean, FMCSA needs to step up and make it a lot more painful for people to.
Yes, I would say the FMCSA needs to do their job. That's where we start with all of this. And I think that a lot of that is going to, like, again, to your point, rule breakers are going to break the rules no matter what. There is a sector of this, and like, I love the thought that goes behind, like, hey, if we do this, it's going to stop crime. Criminals are going to break the fucking law. Like, they don't actually look and be like, well, you know what? There's these trackers now that they want us to. We better put these in our trucks. They're not going to put any of that shit in there. Just like I guarantee there's trucks running down the road right now that don't have ELDs. Guaranteed.
Absolutely. There's loopholes for that too, right?
Dude, they don't fucking care about the law. They don't care.
They roll the dice every time. There's always people like that, right?
And that's exactly it, man, is you can't punish the many to persecute the few.
Absolutely.
And that's my biggest thing here, is you cannot do that. That article, you guys, is worth the read. And I skipped over some points because we're running close on time, but dat.com blog from my man, Dean Croak. And again, you guys, I'll put the links to all of these articles over on the YouTube channel, the Freight Coach, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay, which is available on iTunes and Spotify almost immediately after this show airs. So Cody, what's your thoughts, man, let's leave somebody with something that they can actually do to, benefit them, because that's kind of what this show is all about.
Keep your head up, guys. I mean, don't read all the doom and gloom. The doom and gloom is bullshit, to be honest with you. Like, you need to understand what's going on in the industry, but don't buy into it. I mean, we've been through freight recessions before, right? It happens all the time, but keep your head up. This is a fantastic industry. There's great people in this industry. Chris is one of them for sure. The more you know, the better you are. I mean, seriously, protect yourselves against all the fraud, because fraud can absolutely destroy your business. It doesn't matter, how many customers you have, what you're doing. You get a couple bad claims and you happen to have double brokers on them, you're toast. I mean, that can sink a company. So shameless plug. Chris has got a great product out there, broker carrier. great product to help weed out those bad actors. So does Cassandra. But other than that, man, just keep at it. I mean, this is going to be a good year. I look at every recession as an opportunity, right? Whether it's freight or anything else you want to do, there's always an opportunity. You just got to look at it the correct way and figure out how to see that. Surround yourself with some good people too. Listen to Chris's podcast.
Yeah, there we go. Shameless plugs all around. I love it. But I mean, it's true though, man. Like there is a lot of quality technology that is out there that's not there to replace you. It's there to protect your organization. And I will always shout out Carrier Assure and what Cassandra's doing over there. And then especially with us, what we just rolled out at Broker Carrier, you guys, you will know if they are a double broker. All right. You will know that they are a double broker, that they have repeated offenses behind it. And we are doing that to protect our clients. I can't speak for any other platform but my company. And that's all I'm willing to say. What we are doing right now is protecting our clients from a lot of this, because a lot of this behavior is very sophisticated. These guys are professionals, all right? But they can't circumvent everything. And that's the beauty of technology is the one thing that they have it, like we have a couple of steps ahead of what we feel like their next moves are going to be with a lot of this. And that's the benefit that you get of working with people who've actually been in the fucking industry. I've seen this for the entirety of my career. And we have a lot of data that backs us up to support that, because generally speaking, most criminals don't evolve. Like they kind of fucking do the same shit time and time again.
Yep. They just target a different audience, right?
Exactly. Well, hey, dude, how does anybody reach out? Are you guys hiring?
Actually, yeah, we are hiring. I was going to give myself a shameless plug there too. I know that there's a lot of brokers out there that are laying people off, but we're hiring. We're always looking for good talent. So anztrucking.com, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm sure Chris can add something onto this, add my link on here, but absolutely. We're always hiring good people.
No, definitely. And if you guys can't find Cody, DM me. I'll put you in touch with Cody. ANZ is a great company, you guys. And, a new wave of how things are going to be operating is, guys like Cody and I, although we're technically competitors on paper, we want to see each other win, and we're going to provide that information. I'm not like, this pie is big enough for us all, you guys. Yeah. We can all take advantage of this. And this is the whole point of the content that we put out here on my shows, you guys, is to help you earn and continue to retain customers' business and navigate through any freight market, because there is nothing we are seeing right now that we have not seen in the past. Someone will win in this market. Is it going to be you, or is it going to be your competition? But I know we went a couple of minutes over today, you guys, but it's my show. I can kind of do what I want with that from that regard. But hey, if you saw value in what we talked about here, you guys, share the show. All right. If you're going to go over to those other platforms, subscribe, share it, rank it, because that's how we reach other people. That's how we are the top show in transportation, is because of each and every one of you who take the time to subscribe, share it, and rank it. Because if you guys see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.